Um, Welcome to this podcast is making me thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is episode 62. Today we welcome a veteran star of TV and film. You know him from The Sopranos, The Blacklist, Whitey, and of course he played Mario, the counterperson at Pisano's in the classic season 7 Seinfeld episode, The Calzone. Please welcome Peter Allas. Peter, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Peter, welcome to the show. This is a treat. So we were talking off air quick. Usually I like to say take us back to 1996, how the whole process went about. But I know you were a working actor for, I'd say, what, about 10 years, and you did mention that you did play a part in Hunter. So tell us a little bit about Hunter, and then let's just jump into Seinfeld.
So we'll torture the Seinfeld fans first. No, later in my career, I played a lot of character parts, and every now and then given the chance to do a lot of comedy. But always playing a bad guy when you have dark hair, and this kind of voice. And I was lucky enough to get cast in yet another return of Hunter. It was called Hunter the Return. For I think it was ABC. I forget which network it was, but anyway, as long as they're not sponsoring you, who cares which network it was? But and it was with Fred Dreyer. It was great, and I played kind of a Joey Pesci, kind of sleazy bookie at the racetrack, who was the main guy behind a murder with a wonderful opportunity to live all the way down by where Del Mar is, where the surf meets the turf. And so I'm a bit of a, gambling kind of man. That was fun. And this home that we shot it at looked exactly like Del Mar. So we doubled for Del Mar. And I thought, there's money, and then there's money. And this guy on this property have money. And it was kind of a goofy character that I'm involved with that Hunter pulls me over to bring a little levity to his show, but it didn't really fly, the new version of it.
So wait, what year was the Return of Hunter?
Geez, I want to say 2004 or 6. My memory.
Oh wow! All right,
around there. There were so many. I did a series. I'm a recurring king on television. Never the main star, but always the recurring king. It's because I work cheap, I guess. I was on Hammer too with Stacy Keach for a long time. So many shows.
Yeah.
Sopranos, of course.
Soprano, yeah, but for sure. But listen, I think where you did shine, and that's why you're on the program, is the Calzone back in '96. So yeah, tell us how that came about. Was it an audition? Did they seek you out? Give us a little background there.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. First off, I had a great agent at the time. Her name was Gwen Pepper, who was really a big believer in me. And she was pushing for me. She always knew I was funny, and gave the opportunity to get in. She goes, "I got this thing for you," and I said, "Oh, great! Another Italian! What a shocker!" And I didn't really watch this show when I was a little kid. My parents were illegally sneaking me into Catch a Rising Star and the comic strip and improv, and I would see these guys like Jerry Seinfeld. And when they were first starting out, and a funny side story. Ray Romano was my baseball coach in Forest Hills, New York, by the way.
Oh, wow.
He was just first doing stand-up, just trying. So anyway, I get this audition. I go to MTM Studios at the time, Mary Tyler Moore Studios, and I go in there, and I'm kind of a real nuts and bolts, pragmatic kind of actor. Believe a lot of realism. And ironically enough, I went to cooking school in Italy. So I was a chef. So I bring my apron with me, and I put a little red sauce on my apron. And I walk in the room and I'm thinking, with all these great name actors they've got, and I knew a couple older actors, I won't mention their names because it's not a nice thing, but I thought, oh, this guy's going to get it. Why? What's the point of me being here? Right. But it was Meg Lieberman, Mark Hirschfeld, and Mary Sugarman that brought me in. They were so kind. They were one of the casting at the time. And they clearly thought I was funny. And I went and did my thing, and did a little, what I do best, cook. The cook stuff. I was playing a guy that's busy cooking and was interrupted. And I think it just struck a chord. We call it in my teaching, because I'm also a teacher, the Abbott to their Costello. And I know you know the great Abbott and Costello baseball skit. I think, when they're the funny guy, you got to play the straight guy, and you got to play it dead serious.
Did you use the accent in the audition that you end up kind of using on the show?
I did. I did. I walked in with the accent. I'm
That's your
not
thing. I
always,
mean, you're that's one of the things I mean, even The Sopranos, I don't know if that was really you talking Italian or if that's
it
just the
wasn't.
accent. Yeah, it was.
I
Okay,
speak
so that's
7 languages.
oh,
So
wow.
yeah, but again, living in Italy, so I learned proper Italian. And then Sopranos is different. I'll tell you that story in a second. But
Sure.
the Seinfeld thing's interesting because when I got the gig, they only knew afterwards I didn't speak Italian because I never broke in the room. That's my
Oh,
thing.
wow.
If I figured casting has told them, or maybe someone saw me on something else, and if they didn't, even better, let them go. That's the guy. But I teach. I run a studio. It's called ZA Studios, and with my partner Robert Zimmerman. And the thing that we
Bob
always
Dylan?
talk, yeah, it's a great.
I had to say his name's
And
Robert Zimmerman as well.
and we talk a lot about the fact that being real, and there's a moment where you get the job. I don't think that. I think there's many great actors. Look, there's many great athletes. There's a moment you remember in their careers, a great catch or something like that. And I think it's just as a moment, like I said, doing the thing with the apron and being real. And they were Jerry was doing a little bit of improv in the room because he was in the room there, but none of the actors were. So the producers and the director. And I think that's what got me. That was just playing that I got a kitchen, I'm doing my thing moment and not playing the joke. And I think it's always gotten me the job along the way when it's been the right gig. But they were smart enough to see the comedy after a 9-year drought, or no, 7-year drought of not doing
Yeah,
comedy.
no, it's funny. We just had on Pat Cronin, who played Sid Farkas, and he had a eerily similar story. He said all these stars were lined up for his role, comedians that would knock their socks off, but the way he approached the role, spot on, just what you said. Like, you played the part in a more serious role, but with the accent, and actually was the chef that really caught their attention. So that's a testament to you. And I think it's a testament to the show, right? Like, they knew you would fit in even if you were serious in a way, but the way you played off with George and Kramer is just incredible.
They're smart enough. The casting was smart enough, and the show, Larry David and all of them are smart enough to know to get the best actors around to support, which takes, by the way, I think, which is great on their part, putting the ego aside. I think you
Right.
need the ego to succeed, but just like, again, the great athletes, you got to say, okay, I need great supporting team to make it even better. And they were just so generous and giving. The funny story I had for you was that the offstage voice that I'm yelling
Yeah.
to was Mario, was a
Mm.
guy I was playing basketball with at the Y, who I knew for several years, Randy, who was their stage manager. So I had that already, as Bill Murray says in Caddyshack. So I had that going for me, which is nice. And then, one of my buddies, Larry Thomas, had done the Soup Nazi thing, and I kind of watched it a little bit to get a sense of it. But I wasn't this big Seinfeld craze. I grew up in New York. I'm like, this is like my family and friends. I don't need to see this. Not all
Yeah.
the
Right,
time.
yeah, I know
And
you were on season 7, so at that point,
it
it
was
was already a juggernaut, yeah.
Larry David's last show.
His last show taped?
Yep.
Oh, wow, what happened there? Because it wasn't the last show that aired, so that's interesting. How did that, what was it like on the set?
It was time to go. Well, he was terrific. He was around. I mean, he might have visited, I think, a few other, but he was, from what I understand, he was like already off before the season was even done, and he was actively involved. And he's one of these guys. Like, I work with David Chase, another one that's very specific about the lines. But I was blessed. One of my other fun stories is I was a young, overachieving guy that was ahead of myself in school. So I was able to go a year ahead, and I was in college at a younger age. And as a freshman, I was at Boston University with a guy named Jason Alexander.
Oh,
So
wow.
Huh.
that was a nice treat. And I hadn't seen Jason in years, so that was nice working with him. And then for some reason, I really got along with everybody there. They were so giving and nice and warm, and particularly, um, going blank now, Michael Richards.
Yeah.
And apparently, they said he doesn't necessarily do this, but we really buddied up, and he wanted to rehearse, and I love to rehearse, and he wanted to rehearse and rehearse, and he'd go, "Listen, I want to." I said, hey man, your show, you're the man. Let's just do whatever you want to do.
Right.
And what's great about it was the last moment was in many ways, and this is like sacrilegious. Can I do the Jewish star and the cross at the same time? um, uh, it was a bit improvish, and then it was put together and then carved. But I get the feeling that's what they do a lot. I'm out there weekly. They improvise and then they carve it and put it back in. And I
Oh, so
was
all your back and forth with him was kind of shot up in different parts. Oh,
me doing
interesting.
Italian and him
Him
winging it
doing
with
his
the
thing.
pennies. And then
Yeah, yeah.
my favorite too, when he kicks his feet up on the counter and I'm
Yeah.
going crazy and stuff.
What about when you pull the pizza paddle out on George? Was that improv? You go after him
I
with
wish it
the
was, but that was the genius of Larry, David, and the whole show. I mean, that's just what can I tell you? These guys. I
right.
mean, day one. Here I am working as an actor, and then day one I get there. We do a table read, and they go, "You want to rehearse?" They go, "Isn't it opening baseball? We're good, right?" And I'm going, "I'd like to rehearse." But like you said, season 7, they're a well-oiled machine.
Right.
Yeah, and Peter, you said you're a New York guy, and I don't know, like that set Paisan, it felt like a New York City pizza place.
Yeah, George says Jerome. He's going to go out on Jerome Avenue, get a
Jerome
different
Avenue versus
zone.
versus like the Soup Nazi. That kind of felt a little like I don't know. It didn't feel as New York as Paisans and yours. It was just so authentic.
You got to be careful when I go to the Bronx. I don't know if you're a Yankee or Met fan, but I go up to the Bronx. There is a Paisanos up there. I went in once, and the guy's doing this, looking at me like, come on in, I want pictures. And then I was directing a show a couple years back in New York. So I go back in the Bronx, and I found it's on Arthur Avenue, this real old Italian neighborhood. And
Yeah.
of course, New Yorkers, unlike the rest of the world, they'll just grab you and go, you're so-and-so, and it's great. I mean, I think it's great. They're very expressive. They're very warm. Nothing ever crazy. But the only bad thing I had once was I was supposed to do an appearance in New York. This was, I want to say it was 2 years back, and there was a power outage blackout. I was stuck in the subway and I couldn't get to Brooklyn. So all the theater was shut down and everything. So at least I had a fun weekend in New York.
Oh, the blackout. Yeah, that was. I think that was like 04. I remember it. I got.
Oh, this was recent. There was a
a more recent one.
Oh yeah, it was like 2 years ago. Broadway completely was shut down, and everything. Games were shut down. It was like for one evening, but it was my luck. That was not the appearance. I popped into some yogurt guy's place, and he had a heart attack, and he's calling everybody with like flashlights. Come on in, the Calzone guy's here. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's funny. You kind of beat us to the punch with David Chase and Larry David. You were on Sopranos last year, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And Larry David's last year. So it's funny. We always trying to get a feel like Andy Ackerman. I knew was the director.
And
Alec Berg wrote the episode. Like so.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit, like on set. Like, is it Larry David's show, or like how involved are Ackerman and some of the writers, and even Jerry for that matter?
Well, I didn't work a lot with Jerry, and I would stick around and kind of watch what he was doing. Clearly, I mean, why not? God forbid I shouldn't learn something from a guy who's had a very successful show. It'll be crazy. I mean, they were all great. I particularly thought Judy Louis-Dreyfus was incredible. I mean, just have to deal with all that male energy all the time and go toe to toe, right?
Yeah.
But again, they each had their specialty, and I got to talk to Wayne Knight. I thought he was terrific, and all the peripheral people. I think it's a team effort, but ultimately, like anything else, you need a captain to run the ship. And I think as great as all the directors were, and they were very good directors on that show, Larry here, and I'm guessing Jerry neck and neck with him because of their history.
Right.
So they probably go back into the room, and then when they do their jobs on the front, because you would never know there's a control issue. If there was one, I never saw anything like that.
Right.
It was complete flow. But if Larry spoke, it's like the old E.F. Hutton commercial, If E.F. Hutton speaks, we listen, and there we go. Okay, Larry, let's do it,
Was there any type of, I don't know, fanfare with him? Was his last time on? Was it literally his last time on set? Do you know, as far as that goes? Was there any type of that party or anything like that, or was it was kind of low key knowing them?
No, that's what I was told. So and he seems probably like the kind of guy that doesn't want the whole
Right. That's a good point.
fanfare. And he probably wrote a whole, I'm guessing, Curb Your Enthusiasm probably episode about not wanting fanfare, and someone probably throws a big party for him.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah, that's interesting.
he's
The
working. He's working though. He's not. It's not like he's sitting there and it's all. When I say play, it's play work. But he's working. He's a craftsman, in my opinion. So is David Chase. There's a reason why there's a and the and don't do this and do this. They're studied at what they really know that has been successful. And I think you're an idiot not to listen if they
right.
tell you, don't add that, add that. Oh, we like when you did that.
So, how much you said you weren't a big Seinfeld fan? Obviously, this is season 7. The peaking ratings all the time.
You watched it.
So, yeah. So, how much homework did you do? Before you're on? No, zero. All right, but I mean, but the way you like you said with the pizza thing with George, and then like getting Kramer's face, it was as if you knew these guys intimately.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I had done the show Perfect Strangers. That was my first big shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Tony's a big Balky guy.
I was a big Balky guy. Yeah, I did.
There's a full story with that. That wasn't an audition. It was something I kind of crashed to get into and got the audition. And I never broke the accent on that one. But I felt I did comedy. I did improv comedy. I did stand up at Boston University as well, and bouncing around with that. I tried everything. I was mainly a director that then became an actor. The dream was to be a star center for the Knicks because I was 5'11" at 12 years old, but something happened. It's called no jump shots, so I don't have an acting career. And so I think it's just doing the work. And I just loved comedy. I knew comedy, and I knew at least that these guys were big time guys. But my idols were Robin Williams, Dick Van Dyke, Jonathan Winters. I was a little kid, Jackie Gleason. And so it wasn't like I was unfamiliar with comedy and what my role was. But I did, lying a little bit, I did peek, as you know, Lisa Pescia was on. So I watched a couple of hers, and I watched Larry's episode and go, okay, I get it now, because that's one of my things. If I'm doing a show, watch the style, watch what it's about before you get on. But I wasn't like, oh my God, my friends went nuts.
Right.
They were like, it was like Yankee tickets. I couldn't get in. I'm like, sorry guys, I got 4.
Well, you feel like a glove. I mean, you had two iconic scenes with both, as you mentioned, with Kramer with the foot, all that stuff, and George when the missing tip is always a great one. But I did want to ask, because it would be remiss because there is some Sopranos Seinfeld crossover, but you're the first one we've actually got to talk to who's in both, and you've mentioned Chase a lot. But how did the Sopranos come about? Was that I've heard a lot. I watched that Sopranos podcast with Porioli and Sharippa, and they always say that that the casting is really big on that one too, like Georgianne Walken, or I don't know how you got that gig.
Yeah, Georgianne. I have to thank Georgianne for that one. I was very blessed. It's kind of an interesting story. That one, you're picking all the good ones. That's why, not the boring stories. I was doing General Hospital at one point, and I was brought in for the role of Furio. And
oh wow, okay.
I think that's because of Seinfeld. I think when you do something and you deliver something, they go, "Oh, he's Italian," or "Oh, he's Jewish," or "Oh, he's from Boston." They don't know. They don't know you're called an actor for a reason.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Not everybody can do it, but this is my specialty. I speak many languages, and I grew up in a building in Forest Hills, Queens, with another guy you might have heard of, and we'd sit in the lobby all day and imitate half of our building that came from Eastern Europe, and that guy's name was Hank Azaria. So
nice.
From
Simpsons.
So all we would do was improvise and do accents. But anyway, so I think that they knew I could do an accent. And I had worked. I was a known working actor. I'd done some films in Europe and everything. And they said, this guy's got a European flair to him. And unfortunately, Chase flipped out over me. And mine was a very goofy, kind of dangerous Furio. And then ABC wouldn't release me. And Chase couldn't change his dates. And listen, they got a fantastic actor. Federico was wonderful, and he fit the style. And I was really blessed that Georgianne and Chase remembered me a few years later, and they called me in. And it was funny because they didn't know if I could do Neapolitan. but because I had done different accent first for them. I did a Sicilian dialect because I speak the Sicilian a little bit and Neapolitan. And the Neapolitan I had to learn literally that day in New York. I went to Little Italy, told this lady in this little shop that I lied. I was a writer, journalist discussing languages. So she taught me Neapolitan. I went back the next day, perfect Neapolitan.
Oh.
But, but again, these guys are just like Seinfeld. It's a great analogy because Seinfeld is the humorous version and Sopranos is the dramatic version of, like, I think, a marker in television. And I've been blessed to have both.
Yeah, we agree. I think we put them in our, top 5 TV shows of all time, whether it's comedy or drama. I agree.
Double pay for this thing because I'm doing Sopranos and Seinfeld.
We're sending this clip to Talking Sopranos. We're trying to get Shrip on.
But 2 just remarkable shows. I think both 2 shows that didn't run its course. They kind of went out on top, and you got to respect that, right? Going with the sports analogy. So tell us a little bit. So the Seinfeld set, like Soprano set, Seinfeld set, how long kind of was it? Was it a week, a 2-week taping? Like, were you there watching? You said you were kind of soaking it all in, watching the Jerry stuff. Newman obviously was a part of that show. Tell us a little, any behind the scenes stories you can share?
Well, yeah, I a couple of one, but the main one is, first of all, you should know, is about other podcasts. Season 7, again, they're a well-oiled machine, shot towards the end of the season. I think we aired April 25th, I think was the air date.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And it was pretty quick air date. We shot it
Nice.
and done. Yeah, it was like 25th anniversary. Hey, you got me a month later or whatever, the 20th anniversary. You come in, you do your reading, and sometimes you usually do a little bit of work. But these guys, like I said, it was a machine. And I like to believe they trusted that I was delivering what they wanted. Day 2, you do a lot of work because that's when they're really carving it back up again and taking a look and going, do we need this? Do we not need this? And, they gave me a nice sized part. I was blessed. It could have been something thrown away, but it was a very memorable thing. I know TV Guide gave me a nice write-up as like one of the top, I think 20 or 10 best episodes. Like I said, I think Alec Berg, terrific writing of really creating that. And then watching each guy do their style. In my opinion, they're all different, but you can't see. It's seamless. Like I tell everybody, watch The Godfather. 3 different teachers and styles of acting. It's seamless. Great acting is great acting. And these guys, and that was the best part is I'm gluten free. So they had like all these great gluten free food for me, and I feel like I gained pounds doing the show over there. But
they always talk about the spread. Did you go?
We've been hearing their sets, one of the best sets ever.
Wait, no, the delivery of the food too. I'm like, I'm getting delivered food too, nice salads and things.
Hey, must see TV. So, Peter, did you go to the wrap party end of the year?
I did not. I was working, so I wasn't able to go, unfortunately.
I heard those are good too.
Is it too late?
Did you said you went to, so in college, were you friends with Jason? I mean, was this kind of like a reunion when you saw him?
That's my funny story. See, now you stole my story. No kidding. And what's funny was he didn't remember at first. So I was an athlete, right? And freshman year, I decided that, no, we're going to have like a really good softball team and stuff like that in the theater school. And he was my center fielder, although he vaguely remembered that. And I had to like recollect him for a couple of games, what he did. But
he seems quick-footed to be playing center. He must have moved,
he was fast.
Gained some ground, yeah.
He was
he's quick on his feet with the dance moves and stuff.
And he's got like a broad-shouldered, compact body, so he could really swing. It was good.
Well, yeah, I mean he plowed over Bette Midler in a Seinfeld episode, so he must have got that from you, Peter. I'm guessing.
No, I'm the plowing thing. No, I'm a gunman, as you could tell from Sopranos. I'm not the plowing kind of guy. But so that was a fun little surprise, and then I think, like I said, the fact that it was the end of Larry was a nice surprise. So I feel like I really got like the golden era, if you will, of that time. Because you watch these shows, I watch them nowadays, and I'm like, after a season, I'm going, I don't know what they really got left, all these shows on Netflix and all of them, because I think the writing has gotten thinner, but I was blessed, man. What great writers. And it's all in the writing. It really is.
Yeah.
Sopranos too. That's their MO is the writing. I mean,
Yeah, I think
and
both shows. Jerry describes it as kind of homemade, right? So it's like a small knit group, right? Whether it's Larry on Larry with Seinfeld, David with Sopranos, and then you have like obviously the iconic stars that kind of anchor everything, and then they let the guest stars shine, which happened certainly with you.
Well, that's the generosity.
Yeah.
Besides Jason, who again knew me and I think was giving me that. But then later, like I said, Michael Richards, I forever am grateful to all of them. And so was my daughter for helping to pay for her education.
Those residuals.
Money, but no, seriously, it was just, there's certain things, you know, you look in a time capsule. That's one of them.
Well, yeah, that's so 96. So
I'm here, right? And
yeah. I mean, that was our senior year of high school.
I mean, you know, I know you guys like sports. This is why I hate when athletes don't take the time to sign an autograph of anything, because the way I look at it, it's like I'm one of the fortunate people. Some people are on series regulars and you don't even remember them. But look at this show. Look, like I said, we're here. You guys even have a show about it. So you guys too have something going on, which is really special.
Yeah. So April 96, it aired. How did it kind of change your life, if any? Money, I know residuals come, but did it help get a lot of jobs, recognition?
Yeah, it did. I think that the first thing is that no one knew I was funny. And I'm like, apparently they didn't remember 1989. And even then I also did in 91 Encino Man.
Encino Man, yeah.
But playing the straight.
We saw it on the theater. Me and Howard saw it in the theaters together, I believe. Didn't you go to see Encino Man with me in the theaters?
Yeah.
No, I swear to God, we saw that in the theaters together.
But,
that was only it was 93.
91.
Encino Man 92. Right, well, you might have shot it. I think it came out in 92, but it's probably 91.
Yeah, 92 came out.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, before that, I had a really dramatic movie, the Oliver Stone movie called Iron Maze, playing a tough cop. And I did an HBO movie with another BU alum, Julianne Moore and Fred Ward, called Cast a Deadly Spell. And it's kind of like a cult classic on Halloween, spoof kind of thing, film noir. But I'm always hungering for the comedy. And my teacher always told me, keep putting danger and humor in your work. And I think that, what you didn't mention, one of them was recently MacGyver I just shot.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, unfortunately, because what a great group that was. And I'm sorry that CBS did not pick that up. But they gave me a great opportunity. Again, doing Italian, playing the Italian bad guy, but putting humor and danger in, and made it a little more interesting. Yeah. And I think Seinfeld, again, I go back to it because it's the marker. It's always the marker, and it's iconic. And I think that if I never act again, ever again, it will always be down the street. Oh my God, Calzone Man.
Like, Big Stein wants a calzone. Oh, what?
They still got me, It's like.
So I've always wondered this: when a lot of Steinbrenner in your episode, is Larry David on set, or is that done post production with his voice, or is he there? A little bit of both, but he is there saying the lines in the background while it's happening.
The actor's name that physically played Steinbrenner, and he was very good. But Larry offset. Yeah, he was great. I mean, they were all great. Honestly, I know it sounds like I'm just saying a great party.
Right.
Look, I was only there for a week, like I said. So, Sopranos, I was there for 2.5 weeks, back again, and very different. But
he would be there doing the lines like on set sometimes too.
Yeah, sometimes. And when he's not there, Randy, I think the stage manager, was kind of reading it the way Larry would do it.
Right, and then they just add
style, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think that
I love their bloopers though. Like I loved watching them and make mistakes and have fun with it. Because, being a younger actor still at that time, looking and going, okay, so it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to play, I mean, we're not doing brain surgery, We're not.
Nah. And what's great about that show is, you talk about being so New York, but I think it's so relatable for even a coffee shop in Idaho, right? The tip jar, like getting that recognition. I think it was just
Think about it all the time. I think about that all the time. Every
You have
time
any
I'm
idea
making sure
what
they
that?
watch me. Every time I put it in.
Yeah,
yeah.
but you have any idea what that does to me now?
I
Every time
know.
I go to a Starbucks and that jar is glaring at me,
Right, right.
all I need is one person to go, weren't you the calzone guy?
Yeah.
Look up. That's all I need. So that's an interesting thing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, listen, Peter, this is I know you're a big Knicks fan. It's halftime, so I want you to get back to the game.
that's
But
On top of it.
who's your favorite Knick of all time? I'm thinking Bernard King. I'm trying to think.
well, King, listen, Bernard King was amazing. I knew Dave DeBuscher through my uncle. He was
Oh
amazing.
wow.
Mine is a little known guy. I think you might have heard of him. My godfather insists he wasn't that good. I say you're wrong. He was the next to Michael Jordan heir, except for a little issue. His name was Michael Ray Richardson.
Wow.
Mm.
And this guy was phenomenal, but drugs messed him up. And he went to Italy. And ironically enough, when I was in Italy, he was over in Italy playing a
Oh, wow.
little bit. I wasn't playing at that time. And if you look at the old footage of him, he was amazing, Michael Ray Richardson. He was incredible. But, they got a pretty damn good coach right now. So I think they're going in the right direction. But I can't lie to you. I'm in Miami. How do I not like the Heat down here? They'll kill me, right? This is the sixth borough, right, down here?
Yeah, pretty much. You might, yeah, it's right next to Del Boca Vista. You're all right.
Guys, thank you so much for
Thank
having
you, Peter. Yeah.
Let me know when you do the Seinfeld podcast again or when you do Sopranos again or whatever you're going to be doing next.
Thanks so much, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. This was
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Thank you.
Go Knicks.
Bye-bye.